multimeter is a measurement device or device to measure voltage, electric current, and resistance. Multimeter is also known as avometer, where avometer stands for ampere, volt, and ohm. Function of multimeter is to measure the current of the circuit, checking transistor, measure the resistance value of the resistor, check capacitor component, and etc. There is two types of multimeter, analog type and digital type. The main difference between the two is in the appearance of the screen, where analog multimeter use needle to show the value measurement result, while digital multimeter show the value result as a number on the screen. A voltmeter is an instrument used for measuring electric potential difference between 2 points in an electric circuit. Voltmeter will be placed in parallel to the load circuit that we want to know the voltage value. An ammeter is measuring instrument used to measure the current in the circuit. To use the ammeter, the current to be measured must pass directly through the ammeter. This means the ammeter is connected in series in the circuit. An ohmmeter is an electrical instrument that measures electrical resistance. Ohmmeter uses the galvanometer to measure the electrical current that pass through the resistance and will be calibrated to the ohm. Oscilloscope is measurement equipment that is used to display electrical signal waveform and will be pictured in cathode ray tube (CRT) screen in the form of amplitude graph in time domain. There is two types of oscilloscope, analog and digital. On analog oscilloscope, the waveform that will be displayed on the real time, while on the digital oscilloscope, the waveform will be shown after the first sampling and then to make a digital waveform. There is three types of measurement on the oscilloscope: alternating voltage measurement, frequency measurement, phase difference measurement. Function generator is electronic instrument to produce or stir up wave shape sine, triangle, ramp, square, and pulse waveforms.
Resistor is a passive component. The functions of a resistor is to divide the current and voltage in electrical circuit. The type of a resistor based on its value are peak resistor, variable resistor, and resistor nonlinear. Peak resistors have fixed resistance value, and variable resistor has a resistance change value, and a resistor nonlinear has a resistance change value depending on environmental influence, for example, temperature. One way to find out the resistance value is to read a color code. For example, in the 4-band resistor, the first band is brown, so the first digit is 1. Then the second band is orange, so the second digit is 3. The third band is blue, so the third digit is 10 to the power 6. And the tolerance is a plus or minus 5%. A parallel series of the resistor ties sigma V equals 0 in the series resistor circuit. So V1 plus V2 plus V3 minus V is 0. Taking information's ohm law, V equal IR. And all variable divided by current thus have some current in the series resistor. Inductor is a component from wires or the copper coil that can store the electrical energy and the forms of the magnetic field. A parallel series of inductor ties. Capacitor is an electronic component which can store an electric charge. Some capacitor just named by 2 or 3 number. Or to find out capacitance value is to read the color code. A parallel series of capacitor ties. From the electric component, we can classify capacitor into three classifications. Electrostatic capacitor is a group of capacitor made from the electric component. Electrolytic from metal oxide layer. Another is electrochemistry capacitor. From polarity, capacitor can classify become two types. Polar has two polarities, positive and negative. Non-polar doesn't has any polarity.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My assistant code is DNA. I will tell you about direct current circuit. There are three kinds of direct current circuit. The first is linear circuit. Linear circuit is circuit made by linear sources, and the current equation and voltage equation from the circuit that supply linear equation. Equation can be linear if the equation can supply the character of superposition method is kx function equals k times x function. For the example, we determine the resistor voltage. So, the formula is VR equals I times R, and the VR is the same as V. So, the formula becomes V equals I times R. And the value of the resistor is a constant, so V is proportional to I. This is the graph between V and I. So we can prove that this circuit is linear circuit. The second is superposition theorem. Superposition theorem is the total response or voltage for every point inside the linear circuit, and it has many free sources that can assume a sigma response it caused by each sources in independent ways, and in other sources can replace with resistance inside of it. For example, we determine the current through R2. The symbol is I. The first step is we non-activate the current source to open circuit, and then we determine the value of I1. The second step is we non-activate the voltage source into short circuit, and then we determine the value of I2. So the formula is I equals I1 plus I2. The third is substitution theorem. Substitution theorem is passive component that passed by current I can replace with voltage sources Vs with resistance with the value 0. For the example, we determine the R2's voltage, and then we change the resistor becomes voltage sources. The voltage sources has the same values as VR2.